Welcome back, everyone. In this series of videos, I'm making an Appalachian dulcimer from start to finish. When I left off last time, I was just about to begin carving the steps on the dulcimer's top. Since then, I've made one more design change. I've decided to use a mandolin-style bridge. Unlike the traditional setup, where the bridge sits on top of the fingerboard, this one is adjustable and sits on the face of the instrument. Also, I've marked the sound hole positions while the top is still flat. Now it's time to start the step carving. I'll start by routing around the outline of the dulcimer, which you can see drawn on the wood. I'm going to make multiple passes until I get to the depth I want. Then I'll gradually raise the router and move closer towards the center. This first step will form a sort of base that will be glued onto the sides. I want to give myself some extra room on this step in case anything unexpected comes up later. Here's what it looks like after going part of the way around. I probably went too deep on that cut, but it still isn't quite as deep as I need it to be. So that's what it looks like after going all the way around. I made the first step a little wider than I'm going to make the others, but part of it's going to be cut off later. Okay, so I did a little bit of experimenting off camera to decide how deep I want each step to be. And after a couple of test cuts, this is what I've decided on. I'm going to come in about 3/16 on each step, getting wider as I go in, and make each step about 1/16 higher than the one below it. So, as I've moved towards the dulcimer center, I've had to redraw the pattern a couple of times, and I've ran into a bit of a problem with my pencil following the grain of the wood rather than the profile of the instrument. I glued some paper on for a smoother drawing surface, but this is a process that needs to be repeated on the bottom, and the carving is way more noticeable there, so let's jump ahead to that part. I didn't have a piece large enough to make the back out of one piece of wood like I did with the top, so I glued two pieces together with some red cedar in the middle for decoration. Other than that, flattening the bottom is just like flattening the top. Here's the bottom after I finished flattening it. Since there's no fingerboard on this side, it only needs to be 7/8 of an inch thick, but I'm still going to leave a little extra for sanding. I've glued paper on this side as well to make it easier to see the lines. I've also cut a test hole to see how deep the router is cutting and to make sure I have the right depth. I'm aiming for this bottom step to be about a 1/4 inch thick. I prefer to cut from the outside in when cutting the steps. It feels more natural, and I know that I'm not going to cut too thin if I'm making each step shallower than the last. Part of the challenges with this project is that it doesn't always go to plan. I've laid out the steps on paper, and I'm peeling them off one by one when it's time to carve. I've discovered that the paper doesn't cooperate well with the router, and I've had to pause and clean paper off the bit several times. It's been raining off and on all week, so I haven't made much progress. It is supposed to be dry for the rest of today, but I'm going to stay under the roof just in case. You can see that I've cut all the way around the profile to the final depth, and it's just over a 1/4 of an inch. Here's the completed bottom section, and that's a wrap for this week. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you would like to see more of this project, stay tuned for the next episode.